Hello and welcome to VPL T10, VPL5 T10 team preview. I am Stacey and Adams. It's time to have a look at the Dark View Explorers. They're a team that's capricious in nature. It's always would they or wouldn't they with this team. They were finalists in VPL3 and they finished fourth in the last edition. I have with me Alanson Cookshan and Kenroy Martin, who was the coach in VPL3 when they were near champions.
Well, I'll kick the ball off here. I started it. Explorers never really have big players, but what they have done is play together as a team. And once you play as a team in a tournament, then you get good results. So they would be banking on that as they normally do, but they would have to be led in accordance to that.
All right, you were so excited to talk about your past. You didn't introduce yourself to the viewers, you know? Didn't tell anybody hi.
Hi, this is Kenroy Martin. How are you doing?
We couldn't wait to get to talking about the Dark View Explorers. Addison Cookshan.
Yes, good day everyone, wherever you're watching us from today. So we are here, previewing one of the teams in VPL5, the Dark View Explorers. As Kenroy mentioned, they have been sort of up and down in the tournament from the inception. And I think I don't know if they have gotten over VPL3 because we all remember that finish. I think that was probably one of the actual closest finish that we have had in a VPL final. We got down to the last ball and the team lost by 1 run. But the Explorers, they would be looking to have a good tournament. They have a lot of very important local players, prolific players within all local competitions. Who would want to, show that they can vie with some of the other teams who have a lot of, former internationals in their batting lineup and so on. So they want to show that, we can compete and we can actually be right in the mix with everybody.
All right, let's have a look at the full squad for the Dark View Explorers this year. They have Roman up there. He's the captain. Chelson Stoke, Shaman Cliffoff, Darren Brains, Kenson Dalzell, Rickford Walker, Darius Martin, Otis Matthews, Ryan Everett, Shadrach Discarty, Denson Hoyt, Cylron Williams, Tilron Harry, and Elron Basco. Something to note there, guys. They have a new captain, Romano Pay. In the previous editions, they were captained by Lyndon James. He is no longer at the helm of this team. He is now the coach of the Strikers team. So that's something to unpack there for the Dark View Explorers. How do you think they'll go with a new captain, a new man at the helm, something they're not accustomed to?
Well, Pay has led this team in batting. He's accustomed to the players. Leadership is something that he has now gotten into. So he needs to just adjust and play his role as captain. You have Graves, you have Hooper who have been there with him. So he knows the players. So I don't think that would be a problem for Pierre. The thing with it is that once he uses his players and he play the game that he's accustomed to play, I think he would do a very good job as captain.
I just wanted Kenroy to answer that question. I wanted to get his thoughts on the new captain. I want to get his thoughts on the new captain, as he was former coach. But we selected the best 11 for this squad. In terms of the bowling, what can you expect from the Dark View Explorers this year, Alan? Sorry.
But as a personnel, I was named the entire 11. We had Pierre, we had Graves, Hooper, Emirates, Shadrach Discard, Rickford Walker, Stowe, Ron Williams, your leg spinner, Tilron Harry, Denson Hoyt, and Darius Martin in our 11. So in terms of the bowling, we had here Stowe as an all-rounder. He has been effective in the middle overs in some of the past BPL games. Ron Williams, he had a very good BPL3, was with Martin Ball. The young leg spinner was very, very instrumental in getting to the final in that edition. So they'll be depending a lot on his performance if they want to have a very good finish this year. Hoyt, useful medium pace bowler, but was a lot at the end. Has some variations. And Martin, had his full. I would say he's now coming out of his first full season as a Woodwards player. He has been in and around the team in the past, but this year he has played a lot of the games. And so he will be looking to bring that experience as an opening bowler to this team, and he'd want to be more incisive in the past tournaments so far, he has intimidated some of the opponent's batsmen, but he hasn't gotten a lot of wickets. And he'll be wanting to make an impact as far as wickets are concerned in this tournament if the Dark Explorers are to do very well.
Well said, Alanson. Darius Martin will be a key player for this team. He needs to, as Alanson said, make some inroads pretty early, cause a few upsets, in the tournament. But somebody who has been very consistent during this VPL is Shaman Hooper. He has been one of the best batters in this tournament, very consistent. He's always on his game, and once he continues to do that with pair at the top, that for Explorers would be a very difficult team to turn over.
We also have Red Emirates, former West Indies all-rounder, still playing from time to time on the circuit, but he will bring a wealth of experience. He has more than 100 T20 games in his career. So he'll be looking to bring his experience to the fore for the Dark Explorers and to pass that on to the other players around him, both with bat and ball. And if that happens and they can, get that information and that make use of that wealth of knowledge very quickly, then, they can upset many of the teams in this tournament because, as you said, cricket is on the day.
Just stay on Red Emirates for a little bit. We know he's known as a bowler on the circuit, but we know he's also handy with the bat. Where do you think they'll use it? Do you think they'll use it in the top half, maybe like the pinch hitter? What are your views on that?
I think he will be used in the middle. He's pretty good at striking the ball as well. He bowls a very heavy ball. So they might use him at the back end as well because Martin is up front. Also, what could be done with him as well, as you mentioned it before, is use him as a pinch hitter. But would you want to disturb that opening partnership between Graves and Pierre? That is something that they would have to look at.
Then I have a look at the player we think will make most impact in this tournament. I'll start off and I selected the leader. I selected Romano Pierre. I think captaincy will bring out the best in him. I think he's a player that enjoys responsibility. I remember having a chat to Martin and you mentioned when you were selecting your team for VPL3, made sure you got him. And with one of the person, I can't remember the name right now, but I remember that you said you wanted to get Romano Pierre. And it paid off because in VPL3, he was a leading run scorer. He had 306 runs. In fact, it's the highest tally of runs in any edition so far. Romano Pierre, 306. And I think that's because roles were clear at that time and he was given responsibility. So I think he performed with the bat for his team because of that responsibility. So what about you, Adam?
Well, I just want to piggyback on your point just a little bit before I get into my impact player. You mentioned roles and role clarity. And I think that is something that the Dark Explorers have suffered from in the past. And that would need to be done very early in the tournament if they are to have a good tournament. We have seen in the past where from game to game, orders have kept being shuffled and things like that. And the one tournament when they did very well is because everyone kind of knew what they had to do. The order wasn't being shifted from game to game and so on. So I think that would be very important for them. If they come and go into VPL5 with the same approach of, kind of blowing with the wind and without that clarity, then it would be a very difficult tournament for them. And my impact player that I selected was Emirates. As I mentioned before, he has over 140 T20 games. He has over 160 wickets. His best figures are 4 for 35, an economy of 7.59, and his highest T20 batting score is 54 not out. So he will be able to contribute both with bat and ball. But what I want to see from him this tournament, he's now in his 40s. I could say he's probably semi-retired. I wouldn't say that he's retired, but probably semi-retired from the professional circuit. And he would want to really pass on his knowledge and his wealth of experience and expertise to the younger players. And, if they can pick these things up very quickly, then I can see, the team doing better than I think some people think.
Well, I'm staying home with Shaman Hooper. He has been one of the best batters in the tournament. He's very consistent. And he's somebody what you would want to have in your team in a tournament like this, where the batting is heavily dependent on himself, Graves, Pierre, Emirates, and Stowe. What is missing from the Explorers team really is a good finisher. That is what I see missing from this team. Dean Brung was with the team prior, and this is somebody you could have called upon to score 30, 40 runs within 8-9 balls. That is the only thing that is missing from this team. And I think Williams will be able to fit that role. But Sherman Hooper is my impact player.
All right, and one sec. Well, guys, I mean, it's this team has been
quite unpredictable through BPL, the whole tournament. Finalists 1 year, they always look like they're going to do it, and then somehow they fall short. Where do you think they'll end up with the BPL by?
Well, I would always say, as I've been saying, in all these videos, that it's very difficult to say this before ball has been bowled. But going from past experiences, before ball has been bowled, I think that they will find it difficult to get into the playoffs based on the squads that they have. However, I put the proviso there to say that, if the team starts off well and they start on a winning path, and they start to gel together, then they can go very far in the tournament. But on paper, just based on what you see there, I do not have them as a playoff team.
When I have you here, Aronson, along with Red Emirates, they also have another overseas player, Shadrach Liscard. They just give us something briefly on him.
Well, he's a solution. He's an all-rounder. He has played a few games for the Windward Islands, and it was a former youth cricketer as well. And it will be interesting to see how he goes. I think he's another person in the tournament where, although we don't have a lot of information on him, let's say like the Red Emirates, who has played a lot internationally, he's somebody as well because of the fact that he has played first-class cricket, who can have a very telling impact on the tournament. So, their fortunes may lie very heavily with his effectiveness. So how he goes may determine how they're going, whether they get into the playoffs and beyond.
All right, Martin, turn. PBS City, your coach race team. Where do you think they'll finish? Please don't tell me this is the team you're going to see. You're going to finally say something in terms of where they finish.
Well, based on what is written on paper, this team look like the dark horse. Okay. And once they get things together, as you say, the roles and the responsibilities are given out to them as they ought to. I think that this team will do very well. With this Carty, nobody knows much of him. He could come and set the tournament alight. So just need that sort of impact on a team like this, and they will do exceptionally well for the tournament.
So winner of the tournament? Champions this year?
I wish I could say that. But they need to play the cricket on the field.
Well said. Perfect. Well,
He still hasn't said where they will finish. I'm not talking about you, yeah.
They would finish somewhere.
He's leaving. He's leaving it on the outside, yeah.
He's leaving it. Left to be seen on the day, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, that concludes the team preview for the BPL Explorers. A reminder that we do a preview on each team in this BPL T10 tournament. Tune in at BPL T10 on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And remember, the action kicks off on April 10th and finishes on April 23rd. So, thanks for watching, guys.